Hello, good afternoon, everyone. We'll wait for a few moments more for everybody to join in. Thank you so much for your patience while everybody settles down. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. We'll wait for a few moments more for everybody to join in. Thank you so much for your patience while everybody settles down. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. We'll wait for a few moments for everybody to join in. Thank you so much for your patience. Hello and good afternoon, everybody who's just joined in. Another 2-3 minutes, and we shall start shortly. Another couple of minutes, I guess, because I still see people, logging in. So we'll give it another couple of minutes and then begin. All right, I think we have most of the people who've joined in, so let's get started. All right, I hope everybody has joined. Everyone, and a very warm welcome. Thank you so much for taking out time to join us today. We'll give it another few moments, for people to settle down with their chai, coffee, or matcha. And while they do so, please feel free to drop in where you're joining us from and your names. It'll be always nice to see the room full of people. My name is Nancy Dugal, and along with my colleague Ankit Saklani, it's our pleasure to host today's webinar on behalf of Prospera Global. Know your health insurance policy from coverage to real world utilization. Before we begin, I'd like to briefly share why this session is so important. Health insurance is something most of us have, but very often we don't fully understand the policy until the time we actually need to use it. And in many cases, the challenges members face are not because they lack coverage, but simply because they are unaware of what is covered and what is excluded, and how the whole process works. Over the years, while working closely with insurers, TPAs, hospitals, and members, we have seen that even small misunderstandings around approvals, network hospitals, exclusions, or claim procedures can lead to delays and unexpected out of pocket expenses. That's exactly why we have organized today's session. Our aim is to make health insurance simple, clearer, and more practical for everyone attending this session. Through this webinar, we hope to help you better understand the key features of your policy, know what is covered, and equally important, what may not be covered as well. Learn how to make the best use of your benefits and avoid common issues during hospitalizations or claims. Whether you are an employee, policy holder, or someone helping your family members manage healthcare decisions, this session is designed to provide practical insights that can genuinely help in your real life situations. A few quick notes that I would like to share with you, people. One is please feel free to add your questions in the chat box, which shall be addressed at the end of the session, which is the question and answer segment. We are also very delighted to welcome our expert speakers today who will guide us through the important aspects of understanding health insurance policies in a very simple and practical manner. So with that, let's get started and I will hand over the session to Ankit to begin. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ankit, over
Thank
to
you,
you.
Nancy. Thank you, Nancy, for the generous introduction. All right, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce our esteemed panelists today. With a wealth of experience and a distinguished track record in the healthcare and insurance sector, they bring valuable expertise and unique perspectives that will undoubtedly enrich our discussion. So without wasting further time, let me just quickly introduce our first panelist, Mr. Santosh Krishnamurthy. He's the Operations, Quality Control, and TPA Governance Manager. Mr. Santosh is an insurance advisor and health insurance specialist with over 18 years of experience in helping individuals and families make informed decisions about financial protection and health coverage. He specializes in simplifying complex insurance policies, enabling clients to clearly understand benefits, exclusions, and long-term value. Currently, Mr. Santosh is associated with Liva Insurance UAE, where he manages medical insurance claims operations and heads the TPA governance. In this webinar, he will share practical insights on understanding health insurance policies, avoiding common pitfalls, and making smarter coverage decisions. We welcome you on board, Mr. Santosh. It's a pleasure to have you on board. Our second panelist is Mr. Mohammed El Said. He is the Deputy Manager at National General Insurance Company, Dubai, UAE. Mr. Mohammed is highly motivated and experienced business professional with a proven ability to work beyond the parameters of the role and to prioritize effectively to meet the deadlines. He is enthusiastic and actively relish the challenges of working life with clear direction for success, proven capabilities, both as a team player and an independent operator. Mr. Al Said, welcome you on board. It's a pleasure to have you. Last but not the least, our very own Dr. Geeta Sadana is our third panelist. She is the Director, Medical Claims, Audit and Training at Prospera Global. Dr. Geeta comes with more than 23 years of experience in the industry, with spending 14 years in the UAE insurance market. She is known for a calm, nurturing personality and her ability to make people feel supported and at ease. She brings clarity and structure to complex medical and insurance conversations. Thank you, Dr. Geeta, for joining us today, and it's always a pleasure to have you. Well, now that we have introduced our distinguished panelist, Nancy and I will be guiding today's discussion on the topic Know Your Health Insurance Policy. However, we thought we would do things a little differently. Why should the panelists be the only one answering questions? After all, the best discussions start with great questions, isn't it? So to get us started, I would like to invite Dr. Geeta to turn around the tables and ask the very first question to the panel, and then probably Nancy and I will take it over. So over to you, Dr. Geeta.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ankit, for this nice introduction. And because you have entrusted me with starting the discussion, so here I go, this time from the panelist seat. Okay, and now my first question is for you, Mohammed Al Sayed. From an insurance company's perspective, what are the most important coverage areas that policyholders in UAE and wider GCC market should clearly understand before they actually need to use their health insurance? So we would like you to throw some light on this. Mohammed, I think you're on mute.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Geeta. Thank you, Mr. Ankit. Thank you, Ms. Nancy. Yes, you know how the medical insurance is very important here, and it's very costly. And before to take any policies, we are talking about the UAE market. And
again on mute.
Now it's okay?
Yes.
Okay. Before to talk about this medical insurance policies, you know how the medical insurance policy is costly and it's affecting the cost and premiums and based on the claims and the coverage and other thing. Before to take any policies, we given some advices to our existing members. My name is Mohammed Al Sayed. I'm deputy manager of NGI. I'm holding clients more than, let's say, 200,000 insured members with me and my team in NGI itself. We know how is the thing with the process from beginning, what is the advice to the client, what's the benefits he can select, and see it. In UAE market, we have two things. First of all, the minimum requirement of DHA or HAD, and what is the coverage is there, and what is the coverage there. And the member here and the HR or decision maker, he has to be aware exactly based on what he's looking for, basic or a basic enhanced or whatever is a comprehensive based on his looking for and his budget, his team. In medical insurance, as Dr. Geeta she told, medical insurance, the member he has to understand what is the annual coverage for the members, and the network and the co-payment on the inpatient co-payment also, and outpatient co-payment. And also the area of coverage. If the member will be required to be covered only in UAE, or you have to ask for extension to home country or a certain area which is required. For sure, whenever we require when we meet the HR or decision maker of the company, we advise him with the proper advice. He has to look for the census list or the nationality for his staff, which is working with him, to make sure we are extended and by nationality, we are extended the area of cover to be extended to the home country where they are based, and also the benefits of the coverage, and also to make sure that he's dealing with a proper A-rated insurance company or B-rated insurance company, financial insurance company, to make sure that he's selective. It is for sure is valuable, and based on his premium, what he's paying. This is the main thing which we have required to make sure the HR and aware about the benefits, about the coverage, area of coverage, which will be required for him to start with. This, if you like to more details, we can start to talk about this thing.
I think it's really nice. It was very insightful and good for today. It's very nice to know that despite whatever benefits are designed by DHA, is not just that, and you are actually talking about the home country treatment also, which we all know is excellent. So yes, thank you so much, Mohammed, and over to you now, Ankit.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Geeta, and thank you, Mr. Mohammed, for answering the first question.
Thank you.
All right. So my second question, I think I would direct it to Mr. Santosh. Yeah. Mr. Santosh, I would like to ask you on behalf of our audience, I think, and also, many people who are looking for medical treatment abroad. So when somebody wants to use their health insurance benefits, what are the key points they should keep in mind before visiting a hospital or clinic? So I asked this for both treatment within UAE or GCC and also outside the country.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Ankit, for the, it is very insightful question because, it is very important for a member while he hold a medical insurance policy to understand what are his coverages, where will it be applicable, and what are the things as a member I should be knowing or I should be aware of things. So let me brief in terms of, let me break this question into two different segments. One is, let me answer in terms of what happens while you are at UAE or at the GCC country. Then second segment, I'll answer in terms of what happens in outside, international locations, which is at, either at the home country or it could be a different country altogether, other than the GCC or UAE. When it comes to UAE, it is very important for a member who holds an insurance policy to understand either am I visiting a network facility or a non-network facility. Because this is very important, because in a network facility, there will be, it is not just a known facility which is near to me, but that should be covered within my plan. Only then we will be, the members will be honored with a direct billing facility where this is cashless. Otherwise, you will end up in paying the money upfront, and which will be very costly. And the second thing is to understand what is the requirement over there. Though you are visiting a network facility with as per your plan, you need to understand whether a pre-approval is required, because in UAE or in GCC, this is how it works. Majority of the things which will require a pre-approval for the lab test, or it is an MRI or any plan, the treatment, it could be in medication. So all of these things requires a pre-approval. So as a member, I need to understand what is my plan and what are the pre-approval requirements in my plan.
Yeah.
Sorry, Nancy.
No, sorry. I was not on mute.
Okay. Then I need to, as a member, the member should know what is the co-payment or deductible. That is the member share, because each and every plan which has been designed or a product which has been designed will have certain amount of money which the member will have to bear. It is not the, it is just a marginal amount that needs to be paid. Either this is either defined as a co-payment or deductible. So this needs to be paid. And specifically when you're heading to a treatment which is either, it is a dental or optical, these are the benefits. Will have a cap on the benefit. Say, for example, dental will have 4,000 as a benefit limit. So over and above, you will have to bear the cost. So this is very important. You need to understand what is the co-payment that you need to pay or deductible you need to pay, and what is the limit that you have on specific benefits. And third, the most important thing is you need to understand whether there is any waiting period applicable on your policy or any exclusions applicable. So this is the most important thing. Then, while you are heading to the facility or to a medical center, you need to carry your, either if you're residing in UAE, you need to carry your national ID, which is called as Emirates ID, or, your insurance card. And, if you are going from one facility to another facility, that is from one doctor to another doctor, it is better you always carry your either previous reports, prescriptions, and most importantly, you need to carry a referral letter if it is designed on your plan. because most of the insurance are plans within UAE where the referrals are required. Meaning to say, you need to visit a GP first and then go to a specialist. These are certain kind of plans which has been available in UAE or GCC, and these are the referral letters which are very important. You need to carry those wherever it is applicable. And another thing is, you need to understand what kind of treatment it is. Either it is an emergency. If it is an emergency, you don't require any pre-authorization from the insurance company. You are eligible to directly head to the facility, take the treatment, and then later, the approval protocols will follow. If it's a planned treatment, yes, you need to take in prior approval. You need to contact the insurance company, know your benefits, and then proceed to the facility. Otherwise, you'll be either it is going to be simply, it is increasing your waiting time at the facility. That you can, knowing all these things, you can avoid those waiting time. And what typically matters, while you come back from the facility, make sure you carry the documentation in terms of your assessment, either it is a claim form which the doctor will give you, the lab reports, investigation reports, all of these things becomes very important to carry. And these are the things which are inside UAE or GCC. Now, let me come to a second segment, which is in outside UAE. So we generally call it as international, cross-border, or at a home country. So here, it is very important. First of all, you need to understand whether your policy will cover the treatment outside UAE or GCC. So there are certain plans in the insurance companies who will decide whether the treatment will be covered only within UAE. Then in that case, your treatment outside UAE may not be covered. So you will have to understand. You have to check your table of benefit and make sure you are covered outside UAE. And even if you are covered, either you need to make sure whether you're covered for the emergency treatment only or for everything, even from the planned one. And you need to make sure what is the wording which has been mentioned over there. That means either you're covered on cashless or you're covered only on the direct bill, reimbursement, or that is in cash and pay and claim basis. And next thing is, what are the pre-approval requirements while you travel outside UAE? Meaning to say, there are certain insurance, certain insurance plans which will provide the coverage all over the country, all over the world, depending on their access. And there is one of the most important thing you need to understand as a member. There is a concept of sanctioned countries. So in these sanctioned countries, no treatment will be covered or no payment can be done from the insurance companies. So you need to understand what is the sanctioned countries and which are the countries which have been sanctioned, and am I traveling to that particular country? What happens if I incur a medical emergency in that country? How I'm going to be covered? So these are the things which you need to get a clarity from the insurance company, because these things varies from one insurer to another insurance, and if at all there is a TPA involved, it depends on various the TPA regulations. So these are certain things which you need to understand. So I think this is how I would summarize, and I hope I answered majority things.
No, yes, Mr. Santosh, thank you so much. And it was very structured and elaborated. As a patient, everybody should know, actually, it's not only about the medical treatment anymore, right? When you have the insurance, you have to, take care of these particular things. So thank you so much. Over to you, Nancy. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Santosh. I think this gave a lot of clarity, and especially you breaking down the question into two parts, and definitely did help. So my next question to you, Santosh, is following the previous one only. So many members are not fully aware of the difference between the network and non-network providers. How does choosing a network hospital or a clinic which impact the approvals, direct billing, out-of-pocket payment, reimbursement, claim processing time, and overall member experience?
Yeah, I think Nancy, this is one of the most important thing. As an insured member, I need to understand what exactly happens when I visit a network facility and what outside network facility. First of all, let me tell you what is a network facility. Network facility is the provider, healthcare provider that might be just next to your building, but that may not be part of your network. You need to look at your the list of network facilities. Insurance companies will give you the exact list where you'll be covered. So you need to understand, it doesn't mean the facility or a pharmacy which is next to your building would be covered. You need to look at your list, then understand. So now let me brief you in terms of all these points. Like, I mean, whatever you asked, how does it happen? See, in case of network, I mean, you are visiting a network facility where, that particular facility will know your insurance. Mean to say, either it is a TPA or an health insurance company, they will have certain requirements or certain protocols in terms of pre-approval. Mean to say, this has to be sent through email only, or it has to be sent through the regulatory post office. And what is the turnaround time? When does the insurance company respond back? Or what are the questions that insurance company will ask you? So a network facility, when you're visiting your network facility, those people will know better in terms of this one. So this will, of course, will reduce your wait time, or the to and fro communication between insurance company and the insurance department of the hospital will be avoided from this one. If you visit a non-network facility, yes, you can still get a direct billing approval, but it is less predictable. You cannot predict what an insurance company would be requiring in terms of, either it could be documentation or it could be, any other information. So it is less predictable. So it is always advised you must visit an, network facility only, so that, your journey at an medical facility, when you are having, when you're visiting for a medical condition, it becomes seamless. Then what happens in terms of the cashless? So in terms of network facility, when you visit, you will have to pay only the co-payment or the deductible, or if you're exceeding your benefit limit, then you'll have to pay that difference amount. But if you're visiting a non-network facility, which is an outside your network, you will have to pay everything upfront. Then you go for the reimbursement with the insurance company, and usually these reimbursements are, I must say frankly here, reimbursement is a little cumbersome process. And while you as a member, if you go and go for a reimbursement, the more chances that you will get lesser than what you have paid at the facility, because there will be some the deductibles has been applied, and the reimbursement will always be as per reasonable customary rates. That means whatever the cost that you pay at the facility will not be the same, as per the insurance company. So you'll always get lesser. So you need to make sure, either you willingly want to go to in a non-network, or you prefer to go to a network facility. And what exactly happens while you go for a non-network facility? There, you will pay the cost of the claim, cost of the treatment, and then you take the necessary documentation and submit it to the insurance company for the reimbursement of that cost. The insurance companies will apply reasonable and customary rates. That means, say, I'll give you a live example. Say, for example, a CBC, which is of 100 dirham, either at a facility. There you go to a network facility, you take the test, and if your policy has the co-payment or deductible, say for example 10% co-payment is there. This co-payment, you will pay up to this co-payment only, say for example 10 dirham or 15 dirham or 20 dirham, and you will rest of things will be covered in the insurance. But if you go to a non-network facility, you will have to pay, instead of 100 dirham, you will have to pay 150 or 180 dirham. That means it is 50 to 80% costlier than the insurance price. And what do you get while you submit the claim to insurance? You will get 80 dirham or 90 dirham only, because they will pay you for the exactly what is the reasonable customary rate, and on top of that they will deduct what is the excess, that is co-payment or deductible. And for the reimbursement, it is, if it is a network facility, it is mostly easier. But if it is an outside network facility, you need to make sure you collect all those documentation, which is, either it could be a claim form, invoice, itemized bills, medical reports, diagnosis details, prescription, proof of payment. This is very important. So these are things which will, matter a lot. Then coming to the processing time, if it is a network facility, your wait time, or for example, I visit a medical provider and I need to opt for a test. It will take, say, hardly about initial registration and up to half an hour max. But if you're going for a non-network facility, it will be little faster, but you will end up in paying more. Overall experience, if you go to an insurance network facility within your insurance, it will be smooth, clear, what is going on, less paperwork, quicker decisions. But in contrary, if you go to non-network, it is less predictable. You'll end up in paying the cost upfront, but it will be on the higher side. And while you get the reimbursement, it will be lesser. So out-of-pocket expense will be more while you visit a non-network facility. So it is always overall experience. I mean, when I say it is always preferred, recommended you go to network facilities.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much, Santosh. That answers that we should always, members should always consult the insurance and go to a network provider initially if they have to go.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Santosh. Ankit, over to you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Nancy and Mr. Santosh. So my next question would be to Mr. Mohammed. Mr. Mohammed, many members assume that having health insurance automatically means they're covered everywhere. Could you explain the key difference between domestic coverage that is within UAE or GCC versus the international medical coverage, and how can they check about the coverage?
As we informed initially that in UAE we have some minimum coverage, and also as per the Mr. Santosh, he just explained now what's the coverage and the other thing which would be required. We have a minimum coverage which is covered in only basic coverage, which is clinics only or UAE only. And tomorrow, if the HR he decided that we can select with some benefits, and for this certain categories with basic and other category with comprehensive and other thing. Today, as a member, he will feel that whenever he got insurance, it will be covered everywhere. Yes, it is that our thinking. It will be covered everywhere, and it will cover, as Mr. Santosh explained, that maybe the nearest clinic, which is a hospital nearby his home, it will be covered in his network, which for sure it will not. Based on the thing, we have to inform the HR or whatever we are dealing with to make sure the coverage, what he has selected, based on the area of coverage and the co-payments, the network, it is covered with his requirement. That's why it is normally we are advising the member that it is based on, as we told before, as per the nationality of your team member, to make sure the area of coverage, it will be extended to that thing. If you have the measure of nationality, what you are in your staff in India, Pakistan, or Arab countries, to make sure we are also on the policy itself, we make sure we extend the area of coverage to that area of the thing. And also the HR, whatever we are dealing that, they have to understand how this thing it will impact, and it will help the members also to put a good service, even when they are treating in that countries, and how it will impact in their claims on renewal also. Today, if the member he start to get the insurance, that he will feel we can get a treatment is in Pakistan or in the US, wherever, they will understand this, I have insurance, I can get treated in US. However, in UAE, majority of the insurance company, we are dealing with the TBAs or in-house network, which is majority is covered in UAE. Out of UAE, it requires some special support. We have to deal with the international TBA, which we are dealing, and also for sure, LEVA are dealing with the same thing. The member himself, they have to understand what is the benefits they have in case if they are using in UAE or outside of UAE, and when and how they can approach the insurance company or TBA when they require special support on this in this thing out of UAE. And also they have to be understanding and from beginning how it will impact for reimbursement or direct billing. Today, if they are okay, we still covering your policy on or the policy in UAE plus or worldwide and or globally, they have to understand what's the network what they will use in UAE and what's the network in, like we have an Xcare, we have an NAS, and we have the other network which are using in UAE. And with NGI, we have also our in-house network, which is calling HealthNet, they are using UAE. And what's the network they can use outside of UAE? And outside of UAE, for sure, we are dealing with certain TBAs in outside of UAE, which are supporting on direct billing itself. And also if that country with a member is uninsured is not part of our international TBA, how can still getting the treatment in that countries without impacting the service? Another thing. Here, this our work, we have to make sure it's clear with the client to explain to them how the thing and how the right selection, and to be aware. And in case if he's like required any treatment, as Mr. Santoshi informed that in out of UAE, they will use the insurance, his existing insurance. It will cover only in emergency, or it will cover all his type of treatment. It is very, very important. The member, he has to be aware about this coverage and how is also if the direct billing, how it will process and approvals, and for reimbursement. If decided no, I have a hospital which is out of network of your network, I like to go with reimbursement. He has to understand also from beginning how much the customary rates it will come to be calculated, and how much the co-payment it will be deducted, and how much he will get to know. Because today, as a member today, he has consumed, let's say, the treatment in Dubai, 10,000 dirham, and he planning, okay, I like to make it in Europe, which is costed more than that, or back home, some certain hospital, which is different cost. And if you like, okay, decided that I will like to do with reimbursement, if any reduction in the claim, for sure it will be not happy. That's why we inform in advance. They have to understand the process. They have to understand what's the difference in the network. Today, maybe he's in a certain network, which is in UAE with let's say basic enhance, or with why we repeat again for basic enhance in certain areas, because it is we're talking about minimum premium, but the expectation is so high. The member his HR select certain coverage for him, but the member his expectation no, I like to get it coverage from American hospital. For sure, it will not work, and also it will impact the member himself, his expectation also, and it will create unnecessary unsatisfaction by the member itself. That's why we are always explain to our members to make sure the HR also, to make sure he explain to the member itself what's the coverage, what's the area of coverage, what's the co-payments, what's the annual limit, and how they can use it, and how can use it in here in UAE or outside of UAE. Today, if they go to insurance, yes, I am insured, but where I can use my insurance, they have to understand where I can use an insurance and how can I use an insurance, and if both these ways, what's the area of the coverage, and both in these ways, if I use in direct billing, how it will save to the company, to the policy, and if I do a reimbursement, how much I can get refund on the thing. This is very important. The member, he has to be aware about it, and to avoid any complication in this thing and the process. And also they have to understand financially how it will impact the policy and the policy processing and the policy renewals. This is very important also. When you're getting support and the member, he is aware, yes, it is covered back home, and you can process the cost in Dubai, let's say 10,000, and India is costly maybe 1,000 or 2,000 dirham. For sure, he's getting better treatment, and the good cost. The cost is affecting also in the policy performance. It will be much better for his company as a company. That will be easier for his management for decision on renewal time in the claim and loss ratio and other thing. Member will be happy and it will be much better for him. This the thing is very important to member to be understand, and also the network what they are using and what is Mr. Santoshi told, based on a network and the authorization what they are using is required certain limit for approvals, or it's required approval in every single request, and also referral by case by case. That's why sometimes yes, I have insurance, but the doctor prescribed asking for, okay, I have some pain and I like to go to any doctors or any specialists available. For sure, it will be not work by this way. And based on his coverage and based on anything, he has to follow his restriction in his policy, and he has to also follow his if required the referral, it's required to direct to specialist, it's required with his existing network or out of network to be aware exactly where to go and how to use. It is very important this thing to remember from beginning to member in HR to be aware to avoid any complication in the service.
Right, Mr. Mohammed. Thank you so much and very well put. That's why we keep our members informed and we tell them time and again that take well-informed decisions. All right. So moving on to the next question, that would direct to Dr. Geeta. So as you know, Dr. Geeta, we Prospera Global manage home country treatment on behalf of insurance companies and TPAs. I would request you to spare some time and explain how the home country treatment process works, starting from medical review, treatment planning to hospital appointment. And you can also touch base the approval coordination we do for home country treatment with our insurance companies or TPAs, and also touch base a little bit admission discharge process and the follow-up. So, Dr. Geeta, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ankit, for giving me this opportunity. Okay, so as anyways, Mr. Santosh and Mohammed has informed us about the things how they happen about the approval process, and Mohammed has highlighted that the cost containment is really really important, because it's not just the member, it impacts the entire portfolio, especially when we have got a major case like a chemotherapy case, a cancer case, or something to do with the radiotherapy and all that. Because these things sometimes, when the policy is very small, it really, it just spoils the entire portfolio and it increases the premium for the entire corporate. So that becomes very difficult. And that is the time home country treatment plays a vital role. So I'll begin with how we do the things, how we process the request, so that everyone is well aware of the fact that we keep so many things into account, so that the patient improvement is also our priority. And of course, side by side, we take care that the cost containment is also there, which is good for both the patient and the insurance company. So starting from the medical review, see what happens. Sometimes the patient is, let's say, in Dubai, and of course, it can be sometimes the patient has already traveled to the home country. So first of all, we get the medical reports from Dubai. We have a clinical team over here in Prospera who reviews the requests, all the reports what we have received. We find the most appropriate specialist for the patient's condition and the best hospital, of course. The reports are then shared with the selected doctors in India. The doctor will give a preliminary medical management in case if the patient is in Dubai. Now, let us say patient has already traveled in India. So what we do is we arrange our consultation for the patient. Now that helps. That patient assessment is also taken into consideration, and what we get is a better cost estimate. Once the patient has seen the doctors, now the turn comes for the cost estimates. We get the cost estimates not from one hospital, we get it from multiple hospitals. We get it from tier 1, 2, 3 different hospitals. Now we have got a specialized team who will evaluate these cost estimates that we receive from the hospitals. They will make sure that the prices what we are receiving are in line with the market standards. They review the cost breakdown, try to ascertain, which part of the, let's say, consumable or what part is increasing the cost. We negotiate at that point only with the hospitals so that we get a better cost from the hospital. And if required, we get the type of implant in case if it is an orthopedic or a neurosurgery, what implant is being used. Because many a times for the basic plans, we know that the imported implants can really increase the cost. But if they use a local implant, the cost becomes something very customary and reasonable. So what we do is at that point itself, when we get the cost estimates, we get the breakdown, we get the details of the implants that are being used, and we share everything with the insurance company so that they are pre-informed that this will be the cost based on this breakdown. And now the insurance company has the right to decide on which hospital and which doctor the patient can go for the treatment. Once the cost estimates are shared, of course, the approval starts. So we not only share the estimates, we always share the notes that we are getting from the doctor. If a new radiology is done for the patient, or let us say new investigation in terms of any labs or endoscopy, whatever is done, we share that along with the cost estimates that we share. Now, despite all these things, once we share all these things with the insurance, there is a probability that insurance company might come up with some more justification, something, some more document so that they can ascertain that this treatment is now medically justified. So yes, we are only one point away. Once we get a query from there, our team actively gets involved. We get the requirement, whatever is raised by the insurance company, and we save patient from all these kind of hassles. We share it with insurance and make sure that the process is seamless and the timelines are also adhered to. Now, coming to the next point of travel assistance. Yes, we do provide travel assistance. We have got our own concierge desk. We help in making the ticket booking. And it is something live because we all know that the prices, they change on daily basis. So our team is capable of doing that, giving them the right amount of the ticket, and we book it for the patient. And it's not just like an elective case. Sometimes we all know that the patient is hospitalized, is critical, and might need ambulance support, let's say coming from the airport to the hospital where the patient has to get admitted. Our team does that as well, which again, you can understand it's very, very complicated. But yes, we are capable of doing that as well. Now, once we are in touch with the patient throughout, let's say after the approval, if it's an elective case, we have got the approval, we are in touch with the member throughout. And once the patient is here and is getting admitted, we remain actively involved throughout with the hospital as well. We get the medical updates on daily basis. We keep the insurance company pre-informed about everything. We share the progress notes and if there are any changes in the treatment plan. So everything is shared with the insurance company on a live basis. In case if there are any cost escalations, we here also review the medical reports. We see if it is medically justified or not. We ask questions from the treating doctor over here in India. And when we find it, everything is fine, we share it with the insurance company or the TPA in Dubai. So we share all the supporting evidences so that the insurance company over there doesn't have to put so much of efforts and time in thinking like what has to be done. They can take a decision instantly and very promptly so that the patient gets discharged very smoothly. So I think it's like this is how what we do. And once the patient gets discharged, because the treatment doesn't end over here, the patient has to go for the follow-up visits. Sometimes, the insurance companies, they cover the follow-up visits, sometimes they don't, but we make sure that we are there to assist the patients in making the appointments. So we go an extra mile, we are with the patients, and we are there to assist for all their post-treatment follow-ups. So this is for this question, Ankit.
Thank you, Dr. Geeta. And yeah, it's so structured, and also you made it sound so simple, but we know the hard work which goes in. So yes.
Absolutely.
I think Nancy just texted me. She has a follow-up question for Dr. Geeta, I think. Nancy?
Yes. So, Dr. Gita, I have a follow-up question to this that, Prospera Global manages home country treatment. So while Ankit said that, we are managing and you elaborated the process, for us. So when we talk about the current scenario, what are the common challenges the expat members face when they plan treatment in their home countries, such as, lack of hospital access, unclear treatment costs, missing medical reports, or approval delays, which we know happens a lot of time, and also travel coordination. So, Dr. Geeta, if you could just throw some light on this as well.
Yeah, sure, Nancy, definitely. And yes, you are very right in saying that, let us say if an expat wants to come back to the home country for treatment, and it is not through a medical assistance company or a TPA, like us, I would say for that matter, because if they do it on their own, they actually face several practical and medical challenges because, they are unable to identify the right hospital and specialist. The major reason being they are unfamiliar with the current health home hospitals, the landscape back home over here. So of course, they are like lost. They don't know where to go, which doctor to attend to. Yeah. So and the other thing is about, like what Mr. Santosh and even Mohammed said, that it's not just that, even the cost. Let's just say they get some treatment done over here in India. They don't know it's a package or it is a fee for service. Or let us say the cost involved, is this the customary and reasonable? Like whatever we have in UAE, because we all know that many hospitals in India, the tier one hospitals are really, really expensive. And sometimes the cost exceeds than what we have in Dubai. So definitely, when they come over here, they don't realize all these things, that this too can happen, that they won't get the reimbursement, the complete reimbursement. And yes, they can be a copay if they do it on their own. So this type of uncertainty is always there. Now, coming to the missing medical records, see, this is one another challenge because, when they come from UAE, they might be missing on documents because when they come over here, if they don't carry all the documents, there is a probability they might have to repeat the test. Now, that can be MRI, that can be labs, that can be like anything. And by the way, they are not aware that if they repeat the things once they have done in UAE, these things might not be covered by insurance when they go back home because the repeat, just because of the logistics, just because of the fact they couldn't carry, is not covered in insurance. So, these missing medical records can be actually more challenging than it seems. Now, coming to the approval delays, because if the records are not complete, now what happens? They are moving to and fro. They are either speaking to the doctor or to their HR or to to anyone over there to get that I'm missing all these things, to provide all these things. And when they are back to the hospital, then they have to deal with the insurance desk in the hospital, or let us say to the administrative staff in the hospital. Then they have to go to the doctor, and there's a probability that doctor might ask something again. So there are multiple stakeholders involved, which is definitely not easy for any person who is settled abroad and comes to India for treatment. Now, coming to travel coordination. See, travel coordination, as I have informed you, because let us say if a person is critical and is in Dubai and thinks that let me go to India for treatment, is relative, I would say, because he himself is not in a position to decide that. So his friends or his relatives think about it. It's very, very difficult for them to arrange the ambulance or air ambulance or ground ambulance. These things are very difficult. But if they have a third party, if they have got a travel assistance company involved, the things are very, very seamless. Like it's so fluid the way I'm speaking. This is how it becomes. So this is how it is.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Geeta. It's very, very reassuring that how Prospera is connecting the link between the member, the insurer, the TPA, and the hospital. And so, promising that we have a structured process around supporting members during their difficult times, right? Thank you so much, Dr. Geeta. Over to you, Ankit.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nancy and Dr. Geeta. Before I ask my question, I think we are coming to the end of the panel discussion. We have two questions left, so I would request the audience to start putting their questions on the chat forum. I could already see one question being answered as well. So the audience can put up the questions in the chat window, and after this we'll take a Q&A session with our panelists. Yeah. So moving on, I have my last question, which is directed to Mr. Santosh. So before traveling for home country, what should members be prepared with? I think you've answered this in a previous question. So I think what we can focus on is the coordination between the home country provider and the TPA. So whenever a member visits a home country, apart from the documentation and pre-authorization, how do you think they can, have a coordination between the home country provider and the insurer or the TPA? Because there are so many questions they want to ask, and there is a, follow-up queries as well. And also, you can touch base the medication planning and follow-up care, because I think we didn't touch it previously. Yeah, Mr. Santosh.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, okay. It's very important when a member, either goes to a home country and avails in emergency treatment, or it could be in planned treatment. There are certain aspects, which is very important while, this treatment is taken at the home country. I think from the documentation perspective, I think Dr. Geeta has already, touched base, many very important points. But as a member, it is very important to know what is covered, what is not covered, and even at the home country, what kind of the plan that I have, and am I covered over there? Even if I'm covered, to what extent? Am I covered only for the emergency or even the planned treatment? So these are some of the basic things which the member should be aware. These details will be very well aware, available in the table of benefit and the handbook. There will be onboarding hand kit which will be provided to every member. So these are the these are actually, in fact, very lengthy documentation, but it is very important while you have a seamless experience at the home country. And especially our partners like Prosper are doing a great job in terms of getting these things streamlined and making things easier for us. And see here, one point I just need to make sure this has been taken care. Meaning to say that that the travel fitness and the medication, the planning, it is usually the overlooked. Meaning to say, whenever there is a medication, there is a treatment which requires further medical management or treatment which is to be continued in terms of the medication. Usually this has been overlooked. Meaning to say that there is a say for example, there's a case of cancer, and there is a medication which has been prescribed. Initial the sessions of chemo has been completed, but there will be follow-up medications. So these medications, sometimes these may be stored in a cold chain, and transporting those medication from home country to the country where you're living, either to the UAE. So these are the things which you need to get in touch with the Prosper or a partner like this to understand how these things would be handled. Otherwise, you'd be ending up with nowhere. These are very complicated things. The UAE regulations in terms of transporting the medication also has very stringent rules and regulation. And there is one more thing which you need to be aware. That is a follow-up care. Though as a member you have a treatment which has been fully authorized by the insurance company, but what happens once you come back to the UAE, and what will be your course of your the follow-up treatment and the care? It requires actually a fresh approval on that. So these are the information which will be provided by your insurance company or by the TPA. You can call them anytime. Don't be in an assumption that okay, everything is been covered or everything will be covered. Get the clarity from the insurer. Get it in either you can call them and get the clarity, or you can write them an email and get this clarity, because it is not just about having a cost effective treatment in your home country, which is you being near to your family and having the treatment. Your family members will be together with you during the course of surgery, or the care what you're getting from the hospital. But it is also important while you come back to UAE, what is the follow-up care, how this is being managed, and what are documentation that you need to ensure to get it from the place of treatment. So these are some of the very key facts which you cannot miss it at any point of time.
Thank you, Mr. Santosh. I think you answered. I think all the parts. They're very important documentation. Apart from documentation, the medication part which you touched base is really important. Yeah, so I won't waste much time. Nancy, I think you have the last question.
Yes. So my last question again is a follow-up question word for what Mr. Santosh just mentioned, addressed to Dr. Geeta. So, Dr. Geeta, after completing the treatment in home country, what steps should members take to ensure proper continuity of care when they return to the UAE or GCC, especially regarding the medication plan, follow-up consultation, rehabilitation, complication management?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. See, completing treatment is one part of the patient's journey, but of course, ensuring continuity is equally or more important when they go back to UAE. So, first of all, when you're talking about, the medications and the follow plans, so patient should be a very, should be good enough to understand that when he leaves this place, any home country, he should take a comprehensive discharge summary along with him, copies of all the relevant medical records in terms of investigation reports, imaging studies, if possible, even the CDs, I would say, because many a times imaging studies are not sufficient because the doctors, they want to see the images. So he should always carry all these things along with the proper medication plan, which is being given to the patient. If he takes all these things and visits a doctor in UAE, the doctor over there understands what procedure he has gone through. And if it is a surgery, I would say even the OT notes, because then they know what actually was done for the patient. Because many a times we just write, let us say, ACL reconstruction, but how it was done. Like there are different ways we do ACL reconstruction. It can be by a different kind of graft. It can be by something we are taking from outside and putting it, or we make a graft from the body, autograft, I mean to say, from the body itself. So everything should be documented, is documented in the operation theater notes. And if patient carries all these things, it becomes very easy for the doctor over there to understand what actually he has undergone and now how the things have to be planned for him when he visits back Dubai, when he comes back to Dubai. Now, coming to the rehabilitation, as we all know that when someone undergoes any orthopedic surgery, knee surgery, shoulder surgery, or a back surgery, it is not just, at the finish of the treatment. Rehabilitation plays a very important role over there. And all these patients, they need certain physiotherapy sessions. And in UAE, physiotherapy sessions are only covered if they are recommended by a treating doctor. As Santosh very rightly said, because the recommendation is really required. So that's the reason if the recommendation is carried from here itself, and of course he goes and he visits a doctor in Dubai, the doctor sees everything, as I've told you about the discharge summary, about the operation theater notes, about the recommendation of physiotherapy, he doesn't hesitate in again, let's say, prescribing him some more physiotherapy sessions, and which now becomes easy even for the approval doctors in insurance to extend the authorization. That becomes a really easy process. And there is one more thing. Many a times, if a patient takes treatment on his own, few things are not covered. Let us say these are medical things, but they are not covered in the insurance policies. Let us say if it is a cataract surgery, only multifocal is not covered. Only a unifocal lens or monofocal lens is covered. So here, what we do is whenever a patient undergoes a treatment, we inform the patients prior only that these things are not covered. So that, let's say only monofocal is covered or sterilization is not covered, or let us say stockings are not covered. So there are too many things which are not covered in insurance. So when the patient goes back to home country, he is anyways aware that these things will not be reimbursed to him. So that becomes very easy for the insurance company also over there, because the patient is already aware and they are not getting unnecessary claims for reimbursement, which actually saves so much of time. Okay, now coming to in case if the case was very complicated, then we are here to help the patient. If he goes to see a doctor in Dubai, he can contact us and we can we can make it possible that the doctor who did the treatment over here can speak to the doctor in Dubai. They can discuss it and he can basically transport all whatever has been done over here. He can relay the entire information to doctor in Dubai. So it becomes easy for the doctor in Dubai also to understand and further carry on with the treatment. So these all things actually, they really help in the recovery milestones of a patient, and the entire case is then managed really appropriately.
Perfect, Dr. Geeta. Thank you so much. So, it's not just the treatment, it's, post-treatment is also another journey that member needs to be careful with. With that, we come with the end of this. On the end of this session, I would now request Ankit to please take up the questions from the chat box from the audience.
Yes.
Thank you, Ankit.
Thank you.
Over to you.
Thank you, Nancy, and thank you, everyone. Okay, so the forum is now open. I could see many questions, but we have to be selective because of time constraints. I can see one question. I think I can direct it to Mr. Mohammed. Probably you can answer it. So Dr. Chopra says, what is one policy clause that every member should read carefully, but often ignores? I mean, there are many clauses in the policy, but what do you think, according to you, can be the one, most important clause, which you should not ignore in the policy terms? Mr. Mohammed, I think you're on mute.
Yeah. So most important clause in the policy, you have to make sure what is the coverage, the annual premiums, and the pre-existing chronic conditions, and if any declaration is required or not. This is the most important thing which is required, because tomorrow, as we know that, if any declaration and the HR declared or the member he missed to declare it, he will face a lot of rejections, and it will impact the member health and conditions. And also about the waiting period, some of the policy that the member he told, okay, they do not, and you know that ones were as per DHA in Dubai, they have a waiting period is there. This is the most important thing. If the member is aware about his coverage and his benefits, and the clause of area of coverage, annual premium, and the pre-existing chronic condition is covered or no, if any declaration is required for his policy, it's required or no, and if not required, how and the pre-existing is covered or any pre-existing condition it is there, waiting period it is there or no. This is the most important thing for me. I have to understand and to be clear from the client from beginning. If any declaration is required, and also if any waiting period is required, and if anything is to be declared to insurance company or no. For me, I'm very happy to provide. For me as an insurance advisor, I'm very happy to provide the clients the same policy. Yes, if the condition is declared, whatever you have any major treatment or any major cases, you have to declare from beginning. And also if any declaration the HR is not aware, yes, we can provide some option without declaration or without waiting period to make sure it is peace of mind for his staff and his team. And the majority, yes, the member he has to be aware about the exclusion list. Exclusion list, you know that in DHA they have exclusion list, and now we're talking about the UA market, and they have also exclusion list. This is the most important thing to the member. He has to be aware from beginning. If it is clear for him what the policy, what's the co-payment, the network, where to go, and how to go, how to use the insurance, and this thing, yes, it's the most important thing. We have to be informed, advise our members, our client in advance, in a fast use, because it will impact the full year. You know, the policy is for 12 months. If it is not clear from day one, it for sure it will make a big thing in the remaining years. That's why for me it is very clear to advise the client the proper thing from beginning.
Right. Absolutely, Mr. Mohammed. Very well said. I hope Dr. Chopra is satisfied with your answer. I have a very important question from my CEO, actually, Mr. Amit Sharma. So I have to take this first. He's writing, my question is to Mr. Santosh. As you are an expert in claim management, what would you recommend for members with chronic conditions, such as diabetes, hypertension, cardiac issues? And how should they use their policy more effectively for regular treatment, follow-ups, and medication coverage? So it basically concentrates on the chronic condition members. How do they deal their policy? How do they use it?
Yeah, basically, I know this is one of the critical factor, and most of the insurance companies will have a program which has been which will be up and running in terms of chronic disease management program. So, which will say, for example, a policy has a 10% co-payment on the medication, but if you are running through this program, then this co-payment waiver will be managed, and you don't have to pay anything, and on a monthly or once in 3 months your medication refill once it comes in, this will be seamless. They will be managing the medication delivery, and the co-payment waiver. So all these things will be managed to the insurance company. So as a member, this is very important whether your insurance company, what are the the value adds which they will be offering. Either it will be published on their website, or it will be available in the mobile app. There are certain areas, either you can call them and get this information. But as a member whoever has the chronic condition, this is the privilege which the insurance companies will be offering. So this is not in an additional cost to the member, but it is an the free of cost which the member can get the benefit out of it. So this is one thing which I would recommend. I mean, whoever is in UAE market, to get in touch with an insurance company to understand what are those the chronic disease management program or other value adds which they do have, which will be you don't have to pay anything additional. Only thing is that you need to invest on your time to understand what is it and make the best use of it.
All right, all right. Thank you, Mr. Santosh. We have next question from Dr. Waqas Ahmed, who is the manager FWA and audit medical claims from Takaful Oman. He has two questions actually for Dr. Geeta. So, Dr. Geeta, I'll just ask you very quickly. The first question is, how do you prevent overbilling or unnecessary investigations or procedures? How do we prevent that? I think he's asking in terms of medical assistance company, who we are. So, how do you prevent overbilling or unnecessary investigations?
See, basically, since it is an outpatient, and if we take approval, definitely we can ask questions. I hope he knows that we are managing both outpatient and inpatient. So let us say if it is outpatient and we get to know about the tests that are to be done, we ask questions from the doctor, or definitely it is through the insurance desk. We ask them that why this is required, or if they're asking for a panel, then why a panel? It should be, let's say, just our one simple test. I'm talking about, let us say, LFTs. Like why entire LFTs? Because only SGOT, SGPT would suffice. So we definitely ask questions from them. But if it happens to be an IP and we see there's an overbilling, yes, we do look at the bills. The bills directly don't come to the insurance companies with the claim when we submit. We look at the bills, we have a team of auditors, we go through it. Whatever we find that it should not have been billed, or it was definitely, it was a part of a package, then we go back to the hospital and we negotiate with them and we make sure that those charges are removed from the bill.
Well, yes, Dr. Yeah, thank you. And he also asked, do you use pre-negotiated tariffs with providers in India? If not,
Yes.
is there any future plan? So the latter part is not there, but yes, you can answer the first part. Yeah.
Yes, Dr. Mukas. This is something, of course, it's a very nice question, because yes, we do have pre-negotiated tariffs now. Our list, basically, we are enhancing the list. We already have providers from different parts of the country in our panel, and we are enhancing the list, and soon we will be sending another list, because I think we have already shared one list with all the insurance companies. So soon you'll be getting a new list where we have got the very much negotiated, they are very competitive rates what we have for the different procedures.
Yes, thank you. And if I'm allowed to add on to Dr. Geeta, yes, and our insurance companies are already using it, Dr. Oka. So after this call, probably we can connect and Nancy can guide you through the process. Yeah. Okay. We have another question. I'll just keep it open if anyone wants to answer it. If a member is advised to undergo surgery, should they seek second medical opinion before proceeding? And will it be covered under policy or not? I think it's a very, very relevant question, because now we are focusing on second medical opinion, and as the insurance industry as well, it saves a lot of efforts and cost, to be honest, and for the patient also, unnecessary surgery. So if they're looking for second medical opinion, would they seek it, most importantly, and how will they know that it will be covered under their policy? So probably Mr. Mohammed Santosh, you can, pitch in whosoever wants to
Let me
answer
take
first.
Let me take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the second medical opinion is one of the key factor, both for the insurance company and as an insured member. So this is very critical. Let me speak from an insured member perspective. So now, yes, I visited a doctor either here in UAE or a doctor in back in home country. I visited a doctor. They advised me for a surgery for whatsoever reason. And what is second medical opinion? So I visited a doctor, they advised something. Now I'm visiting one more doctor with the same the reports or recommendation from the initial doctor. I'm visiting a second doctor with the same specialty or something. So while we look at while we undergo this process, it is covered by the insurance. Definitely it is covered by the insurance. And the benefit what I'm going to get it is either I'm not sure. I know, see, it is not that I, as a member, I doubt my treating doctor, but it is always recommended to have a second eye on the whatever is being prescribed or whatever has been advised, because this is a medical treatment. It is a surgery which is going to impact my personal life. It is going to impact my work life balance and my financials, and it is a cost to the insurance. So considering all these factors, it is always recommended to have a second medical opinion. And if I speak from an insurer prospect, yes, we do recommend the member to go for the second medical opinion. And when a treatment has been happening over here in UAE, sometimes we we encourage the member to have a second medical opinion from a doctors from the various region. Either it could be Germany, or it could be India, or it could be US, UK, wherever it is. The our point of view is that we need to have a best care, and a second medical opinion which will either it will give a same opinion, or it will give either it could be it can be managed conservatively, or there is no surgery required, this can be managed differently, or a different methodology of surgery might be performed, or different innovative ways which has been available that can be utilized. So it is actually a win-win for both insurance company and the insured member as well, and it is covered by the insurance.
Right, right. Thank you. Mr. Mohammed, would you like to say something on this? Do you have any?
Mr. Tandosh is already clear that yes, always the insurance company as a payer, we are always advising the members or members whenever the doctor advise for some elective surgery to check with one or two doctors at least to understand the concern. Sometimes we know that sometimes the doctor he try to convince a member for surgery in first stage, which is not required. Maybe it is required, not required. That's why we're always advising the member to look, and when we're advising to look for as an alternative doctor to see what's the second, third medical opinion to understand, to be fully convinced, and until him fully trust and this procedure it is required. It is always we are happy to go ahead with whatever his selection and to process. And always again, we are always advising the member for inpatient service and elective surgeries. If he's happy to do in back home country, another thing, with supporting a few team members, we support so many things in before, and to get the service in back home, which it will be much better that for sure for the service, and he also will be convinced for him, for the member himself to process with the surgery with his family, another thing. And also end of the day it will be for cost and for policy in his policy and other thing. And that's a normal process. That's why always be a member has to be aware how to use this service, and when and how to inform and intimate the insurance company and to get the service and second medical opinion by the insurance company.
Great, great. Thank you, Mr. Mohammed. And I think I'll just take the last question on behalf of everyone because we are already ahead of the scheduled time. The last question would be, I could see one question which was really important, which I feel we should know, and this can be answered by both Mr. Santosh and Mr. Mohammed because they belong to different insurance companies. So the question is, if an expat member is living in GCC, how can they check whether their policy allows planned treatment in their home country? And what is the approval process? I would just add on to one more thing, not only home country, if there is a medical treatment which, if I want to avail a medical treatment in the US, which is a treatment abroad, so you can touch base home country treatment and treatment abroad. And as a member, how can I check that? Does your policies clearly mention it? And what is the approval process I should follow as an insured member? So, Mr. Santosh, would you like to answer first, or Mr. Mohammed? Yeah, anybody? Yeah.
For some of policies, what we are given, this pre-approval is required for treatment out of UAE. It is just intimation insurance company, and yes, I have this certain concern or certain treatment which is planning to do in back home or do in Canada, US, whatever, India, and just to inform that yes, if the member is dealing with insurance company, he has a right to write to insurance company. I have this is a medical report and treatment plan which is required to process, and I'm planning to travel in such date and to that country, that city, and if also the member also he's planning to do in specific hospital which he's planning to process, it is just the right to insurance company or TBA. Based on that, the TBA they will just take a pre-approval in case, and they will advise what's the process. In case yes, we plan to do the procedure. The procedure is justified by our medical team, and yes, and they will inform yes, as per the UAE cost is that much, and they will advise the member if we are fully covered in this country which you are planning to go. We can advise as an insurance company. We can advise a member yes, we can go ahead with the surgery or whatever the procedure in the country which you have selected in certain network. And normally we are sharing with them the network which is convinced for him to go ahead with that. If he decided that he like to go ahead with the other option, reimbursement also has to be aware. But initially, the member he has to share to inform, advise insurance company on the TBA was a medical report and treatment plan before to go with the process of the thing. Pre-approval, it is required for almost the treatment out of UAE. Yes, Mr. Santosh?
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Mohammed, I second your opinion. Just to brief in terms of, let's see, every policy will have the area of cover, which is defined as worldwide, and in some cases worldwide excluding USA, Canada, because of the cost of the policy or the exposure over there. And there are certain policies which is the GCC plus home country. So there are certain every insurance company will have different ways of interpreting their or exhibiting their the world the area of cover. So it is important that member has to be aware of where exactly I'm covered, even though if I'm being covered, either it is only for the emergency treatment or it is for the planned treatment as well. So it is a far most important thing that members should call up the insurance company, check. Look, I'm having this medical condition, or I'm planning to visit this particular country. It need not to be a home country, any other country as well. So I'm visiting this country for this purpose. Am I being covered? Does my policy provision the coverage over there? And if yes, will you be able to arrange a direct billing facility? That's it. So these are the questions will invoke the answer in terms of what exactly is the policy terms and condition, what is the procedure, what is the terms for the pre-approval. So all these things will be answered in one shot. So this is this is something which every member should make an initiative to call up the insurance company to understand what is his policy benefit.
All right, all right. Thank you. Very well said, Mr. Santosh and Mohammed. I think we come to an end of this session now. Thank you, everybody. And I would like Nancy to conclude the session. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Ankit. So we come to the end of the session. So thank you, everyone, all our panelists, for such an insightful discussion, and to our audience for joining us today. And a big thank you to the entire team behind this session. We truly appreciate your support. We'll be sharing the feedback link shortly. We'd love to hear your thoughts as well. You will also receive the YouTube link so you can watch the webinar again and share it with your friends and colleagues. And watch out for this space because we will be coming back with more engaging sessions like these. So stay tuned. Thank you so much, everyone.
Any last thoughts from the panelists? We can start with Mr. Santosh and Mr. Mohammed can continue. And Dr. Geeta, any last thoughts? Any last comments from your end?
No, it is very nice to have these kind of sessions being organized by Prospera. It is, yes, we do have the insights in terms of, the medical insurance coverage in the market, but, we get a forum to exhibit or, expose this into the, the common people. So these are something which is, very, it should be happening more often. And I actually, in fact, I value your, the efforts in doing these things.
Thank you, Mr. Santosh. Really means a lot. Yeah, Mr. Mohammed, from your side, do you want to say something?
Thank you, Ms. Nancy, and thank you, Mr. Ankit. Thank you for you, Dr. Geeta, for this invitation. It was great, actually, and thank you for all of that.
Pleasure is all ours, Mr. Mohammed. Thank you for spending time. And Dr. Geeta, yes, we would like to end the session with something from you. Yeah.
Yes, sure, Ankit. And even I feel it's one of the best ways, to basically impart knowledge to everyone, because many a times, there are few questions which you want to ask, but somehow, we just forget about it. So once we are here, we discuss the things, and it's really good for those who are attending it. They understand a lot because it's coming from 3 different people. So they can collate the facts in their minds, and it's really, really helpful for everyone. And moreover, asking questions immediately, that really helps a lot, because many a times we think about it, but then, we forget because we are very busy in our home things and everything. So I believe these sessions really should be more often, and it's really going to help everyone who is attending, and of course, definitely to all of us. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Definitely.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much once again.
Thank
and we
you,
hope to meet
everybody.
again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Mr.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, and have a good evening. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.